Hello, I'm Zach McKenzie, and I'm a contributor at OutSmart magazine. Today, we're chatting with Shana Ross, who is celebrating the release of her brand new memoir titled Tribeless, Discovering the Truth About Nature versus Nurture as One Woman Finds Her Birth Mother. Shana, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thanks, Zach. I'm really happy to be here. You're the first person I've gotten to talk to about this, so it's very exciting.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. Thank you so much for, now I'm even more excited to have your time. Like I was telling you earlier, I just finished the book. It's incredible. And so from your perspective, I was just curious, what made you want to write the book in the first place?
I really felt that there were many things that I could share that could end up helping a lot of different people, not just those who are adopted, but also prospective adoptive parents. And certainly anyone within the LGBTQ community who's ever come out to parents and been rejected and didn't really feel that they had anywhere to go, felt completely helpless, lonely. I just really felt that by telling my experience, I could reach out and help others know that while you're in it, it really doesn't seem like it, but there is a way through.
I would consider it the climax of the story, which is interesting because for a book about finding your birth tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think that that would be the climax, right? But the cover of it kind of gives that away. The climax for me was whenever everything kind of came to a head with your family and you were forced to come out to them. And I think a lot of people will read that and see a lot of themselves in that. And I also think that parents will get a lot out of reading that. But for you, you already talk about kind of writing about yourself rather being difficult and hard. But that specific recollection of that time, what did that bring up for you? Or is it something that you've wrestled with so much that it was second nature?
It's hard to write about. It's still hard to remember. And, I'm in my 60s now, and that happened when I was in my 20s. And all of these years later, it's still not easy to talk about. But I felt it was so important because unfortunately, it's not a unique story. And even today, it's not a unique story. So many of us, when we come out to parents, family, are exiled and treated very poorly. And that is, that's another thing that I was hoping the book would do is if someone is thinking about being an adopted parent, if you're thinking about adopting a child. And one of the reasons I really wanted on the cover and in the title of the book, discovering the fact about nature versus nurture, you're getting a child that has different DNA from you. Just because you're going to raise them and nurture them does not mean that they are going to become mini me's. It's just not going to happen. It certainly didn't in my instance. And I would love for adoptive parents to understand you're bringing in a human that is different from you. And you have to open your mind to who they are going to become that has absolutely nothing to do with you, how you raise them, what your belief systems happen to be. I think that's really missing in the adoption process, that parents aren't given more education about those possibilities.
You ultimately decide to take the step to discover your birth mother, who she is, see if she's interested in meeting you, and all the kind of emotions that go into that. For you, how did your emotions kind of switch whenever you made that decision? Okay, I'm going to move forward with this. This is something I'm going to pursue. And as I know after reading the book, it was years and years and years of a process.
Yeah. Started in 1994, so it took some time. Well, the whole thing, and I hate to say the word, the whole thing was terrifying. And there were so many questions that I had to answer before I decided to search. And then when I decided to search, it was just a whole nother list of fears of, what if she rejects me? I have to come to terms with that is a distinct possibility. And that happens many times. People will go to find their birth families and they're completely rejected. I had to figure out if I was going to be able to handle that. I have a very dear friend that I talk about in the book who made a trip to Navajo Nation. And he talks to a Navajo guide who took him through Canyon de Chelly, which is a very sacred place for the Dene people. But one thing the Navajo guide told my friend is that the Navajo really have no concept of adoption. It is very common when a child is born on the Navajo Nation, if their parents don't have the wherewithal to care with them, the grandparents raise them. It's not so much a parent-child relationship. It's a community. It's a tribal relationship where everyone is charged with raising the child. And what he told my friend was, she needs to do this. She needs to find her connection, because there are going to be people out there who love her. There are going to be people out there who accept her and want her because she is ours. And when my friend shared that with me, it's as if everything just made much more sense. And I knew that I had to do it then, because it was not only finding blood and, like I say, looking in someone's face who looks like mine. It was a whole culture that I had been taken from. And I felt the need to know that and to get in touch with it. And the last 6 years of learning about it have been some of the most amazing years of my life.
You talk about the whole process, and we don't have to get into like kind of all the nitty-gritty. I think that plays out better in the book because it is so detailed about how everything kind of comes together, where you meet your family. But as you've kind of alluded to, you did ultimately connect with them. You found out you had a gay cousin, which is my eyes just like lit up at that moment, because
I have several.
Okay, well, in
I
the
have
book you
several.
mentioned the one,
I know,
right?
I mentioned one in the book, but and I thought about this. It's like, no, wait, I have several on
Yeah.
both sides, my natural father and my maternal side. I have several, and it's like, well, here we are.
Right.
Here's my other tribe,
A tribe within a tribe.
Yes.
You're looking back now and you talk about the last few years that you've spent kind of learning about the culture and everything like that. What is your kind of retrospective look on just everything, the process of finding your family, getting connected to them, learning about the tribe, and just knowing that it was all worth it? Like, what does that feeling kind of elicit within you?
It's been extremely emotional. I've cried many, many times because in some ways it still almost seems unreal, even though it's been 6 years since I met my family. It still sometimes feels like a dream that I can just pick up the phone and talk with my mother, who just turned 91. I can pick up the phone and I can talk with her. And she hears my voice and she says, "Oh, my baby girl." I mean, that's just it. It's incredible to hear that, to have that kind of love and affirmation and support is it's very different from how I grew up, but I crave it. I really crave it, and it's made me be a kinder person, because I really have to look at a lot of things that other people go through who don't have that kind of support, like I didn't for so long. And I think that is one of the biggest, greatest things to come out of it, is helping me be a better person, because they are better people and have shown me what unconditional love can do and mean for someone.
Yeah. That you writing about your mom calling you baby girl, like, and rubbing your back just immediately when she met you, it's a tearjerker. It's a tearjerker of an ending of a book, I'm not gonna lie, Shana. Speaking to children of adoption who might be approaching the notion of possibly reaching out and discovering who their birth parents are, or their birth family, or their birth tribe, what is your biggest piece of advice for that?
Ask all the questions and be very honest about them, especially the one of, if I find, my family, can I handle the rejection and walk away from it and honor honor their wishes. That was the biggest one for me, because in this day and age, with all of the DNA companies that are out there, I found my mother through ancestry.com. The likelihood of you taking that test and sending back in, you're going to find people. It's almost impossible not to now. So you have to ask those questions, and you have to be very clear that you can handle that type of rejection. If you can get past that point, then by all means, I would encourage you to do it. Because we all need to know where we come from. I just think it makes us better people to understand that. Even if it's not so good, it still helps to know that connection, that base, who the ancestors are. I think it helps us become better people, more well-rounded people. It helps us understand ourselves better, and in the process, be able to relate to those around us in a kinder, more gentle way.
So I wish I had a book like they do on like Good Morning America, where they can say, here's this book, but I see it over your shoulder. Where can people pick up the book that want to read it?
Right now it's on Amazon.
Okay.
So you can go and get either the Kindle or the paperback. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I would love to get feedback from it. I would love to be invited to book clubs who might want to read it. I would love to, give my story in person, even if they're not in Houston. We could do a Zoom session, because I just think it's an important story to hear for others who are needing that kind of help. And I would love to be able to have someone not have to go through some of the things that I went through.
Totally. Well, if whoever's watching this, you want to read it, it's like I said, it's packed with heart. It's packed with Houston from yesteryear. It's beautiful. And I can't thank you enough for writing it, Shana. I think a lot of people are going to either relate to it, get something out of it, or feel a call to do something that they've been wanting to do for a long time. And I appreciate you taking the time to do it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy to do this. Thank you so much for asking me.
Absolutely.
It's been great.
All right. Thank you so much, Shana.
Sure.